Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Mirza Afiq bin Zainal Arifin, member number 8282574. Now let we discuss about case study 1, provide an economic analysis. First is about increased inflation. Predictably, headline inflation rose to 3.2 in the quarter. An increase in quarterly inflation can be attributed mostly to the stabilization of electricity rates. As the economy began to recover, core inflation edged up too. Second is about exchange rate development. In the final 3 months of 2021 to 2022, the ringgit gained value relative to the US dollar. The lifting of several restrictions on the use of the COVID-19 vaccine and the expedited administration of booster doses of the vaccine both contribute to a more positive attitude. Next is financing conditions. As economic activity picked up, net financing to the private sector grew by 4.7%, mostly as a result of greater outstanding loan growth, which increased by 4.4%. The outstanding household loan growth rate increased to 4.2% from 3.2% in third quarter in 2021, which increases seen in the majority of lending categories. The loosening of travel restrictions led to a surge in loan applications and disbursement, most notably for the acquisition of dwellings and motor vehicles. The expansion of businesses' outstanding loans rose to 4.8% in the most recent quarter. This expansion was driven by a rise in loans for working capitals. Last, economy expected to remain on recovery path. In 2022, the domestic economy is predicted to continue its recovery, helped along by rising global demand and increased private spending as a result of a more favorable labor market and stable government policies. Maintaining large-scale public and private investment projects is also important for growth. Thank you.
My name is Halim Miramli, my number matric A212489. For this section, I will explain about case study 2. The first question is, provide an economic analysis based on the article. According to Malaysia GDP, its graph, it was horizontal in 2018 and 2019 but decreased in 2020 and will grow the next year in 2021. Every year, the percentage demonstrate the many percentage that are affected by various causes to determine whether they will increase or decrease. In addition, service have a bigger proportion in production than construction, which has a smaller share of 3.4% at 57.5%. Next, import account of a larger 14.6% of expenditure, while gross fixed capital formation will decrease by 3.3% in 2021. The government must discover more strategy to rise consumer demand for goods and spending in order to rise national income. Next is, by using circle diagram, illustrate the pace of the Malaysia economic situation. The construction of the period of the business cycle, Malaysia GDP fell on year before rising the next year. The produce differently, which has an impact on economic production and helps it thrive. Malaysia economic growth and spending are not comparable in percentage terms. Based on the factor described above, when productive is required, a good production will result in a larger yield. The lastly question is, briefly explain about the pace. The firstly is, strict on economic policy the government should implement for every base fiscal policy. The second question is, briefly explain the role suggestion economic policy. Fiscal policy is of the government spending and taxation of influence the economy. Government typically use fiscal policy to promote strong and sustainable growth and reduce poverty. The role and objective of fiscal policy gained prominence during the recent global economic crisis, when governments stepped in to support financial system, jumpstart growth, and mitigate the impact of the crisis on vulnerable groups.
Now let's discuss about case study 3. Define GDP, gross domestic product. GDP is the total monetary or market value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's border in a specific time period. The approaches can be used to measure GDP is product approach. And justify the answer, GDP can be measured by adding all of the aggregate spending for final goods and services by all economic sector within a year. Name and describe other approaches. First is income approach. Income approach is measure national income by adding all the various type of income paid to firm and household in terms of wages, rent, interest, and profits. And last, the expenditures approach. National income is obtained by adding all the expenditure on goods and services in a year. Next, we proceed to the calculation for GDP market price, GNP market price, GNP cost factor, and national income. First, GDP market price. The formula to calculate the GDP market price is sector 1 plus sector 2 and plus sector 3. GDP market price for 2017 is RM 1,282.7 billion. For 2018 is RM 1,350.2 billion. For 2019 is RM 1,408.2 billion. For 2020 is RM 1,328.6 billion. And last, 2021 is RM 1,373.8 billion. Next, GNP market price. The formula to calculate GNP market price is GDP market price plus net income abroad. So GNP market price for 2017 is 1,000 RM 1,244 billion. For 2018 is RM 1,305.1 billion. For 2019 is RM 1,380.7 billion. For 2020 is 1,300 billion. And last, for 2021 is 1,333.8 billion. Furthermore, GNP cost factor. The formula to calculate GNP cost factor is GNP market price minus indirect taxes and plus subsidies. So GNP cost factor for 2017 is RM 1,226.5 billion. For 2018 is RM 1,298.1 billion. For 2019 is RM 1,360.5 billion. For 2020 is RM 1,290.2 billion. And last, for 2021 is 1,322.5 billion. Lastly, national income. The formula to calculate the national income is GNP cost factor minus depreciation. So national income for 2017 is RM 343.3 billion. For 2018 is 351.7 billion. For 2019 is RM 351.7 billion. For 2020 is RM 310.9 billion. And last, for 2021 is RM 308.5 billion. Thank you.
Okay, for question E, based on answer in D1, calculate and describe the GDP growth rate between. First, for 2017 and 2018, the growth rate is 5.26%. So between 2017 and 2018, the GDP grew by 5.26%. Second, for 2018 and 2019, the growth rate GDP is 4.30%. The GDP growth rates decreased by 0.96%. Third, for 2018 and 2020, the growth rate is negative. The GDP growth rate for 2019 and 2020 is negative 5.65%. The current growth rate is significantly lower than the previous pace. There was an 1.35%. Fourth, for 2020 and 2021, the growth rate is 3.40%. The current growth rate has increased by 9.05% since the prior rate, which is a very significant rise. The next question, F. Do the figure given in the table represent nominal or real value of output? Why? The figure given in the table represent nominal value. The nominal value of economic statistics I measure in terms of price that exists at the time, while the real value refers to the same statistic after it has been adjusted for inflation. Okay, then lastly for question G. Discuss any three problems that may encounter when calculating the national income. The firstly is allowance and depreciation. Not all economic activities are well recorded. Therefore, there is incomplete information and data. In addition, there is information and data that is difficult to obtain. This problem causes the calculation of national income to be less accurate. In general, the output value obtained is only estimated by the Department of Statistics. Second is double counting. In practice, sometimes it is difficult to determine final goods and intermediate goods. This causes double counting. If the value of the intermediate goods and final goods are meets the value of national output, that is reduced will exceed the value of actual national output. Then, the calculation of national income will take into account added value or the value of final goods only. Then lastly is lack of data.
My name is Nura Al-Akila binti Karunizam. My matrix numbers is A21A2959. I will explain about case study 4. The value of taxes is Rm1000 billion. Second, how to find consumption function? We need to find MPC first. MPC that I get is 0.75. So the consumption function formula is C equal to A plus BYD. So consumption function before taxes I get is C equal to 1000 plus 0.75 YD. After taxes, I get the consumption function is C equal to 215 plus 0.75y. Next, to find saving function, you need to find MPS first. To get MPS, the formula is MPS equal to 1 minus MPC. MPS that I get is 0.25. The formula for saving function is S equal to negative A plus BYD. So the saving function before taxes I get is S equal to negative 1000 plus 0.25 YD. After taxes, I get S equal to negative 1215 plus 0.25y. Next, to find the equilibrium of national income using aggregate demand and aggregate supply approach, the formula is Y equal to C plus I plus G. The value of equilibrium of national income is Rm9,000 billion. For leakage and injection approach, the formula is I plus G equal to S plus T. So the value is the same, is Y equal to Rm9,000 billion. For question C, to find new equilibrium of national income, you need to find new investment first. New investment is decreased 5%. So I get the new investment is Rm950 billion. So the value of I is 915. The value of G is 1000. T is 1000 and S is 1050. The formula of equilibrium of national income is Y equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So, the value of Y that I get is RM 30,000 billion. For second Roman, based on the diagram, Malaysia facing the economic problem which is inflationary gap. This is because the value of Y greater than YFE. The equilibrium of real national income occurs when the point Y equal to AD intersect with the point C plus I plus G plus X minus M at point E. The national income value at the equilibrium point is RM 30,000 billion. However, the equilibrium of national income on full employment occurs when the point Y equal to AD intersect with the point C plus I plus G plus X minus M at point E1. The national income value of the full employment equilibrium point is RM 5,800 billion. Real national income is higher than the full employment national income. This indicates that there is an inflationary gap between A minus E1. To overcome this problem, the government must use the contractionary fiscal policy. The government can decrease government spending or increase taxes.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nuruzna binti Zulkifli. Today I will present about case study 5, chapter 4. For number 1, the question is calculate the national income in the second quarter 2021. So including the formula and then you get the answer 4381.67 billion. By comparing national income in 2020 at the first quarter 2021, explain Malaysia economic condition in the second quarter 2021. National income in 2020 is a 733.66 billion ringgit Malaysia, while in the first quarter 2021 RM 535.1 billion. National income in the second quarter 2021 is 438.1.67 billion ringgit Malaysia, lower than 2020 and the first quarter 2021. That means Malaysia economy is having a recession. So for the next question, if the project value of national income in second quarter is 7,000 billion income at full employment. So the first question is, does Malaysia face at the economic problem, and explain? Yes, I think if there is an increase in whole income, this will be caused because disposable income of the household to increase when the amount of private income is reduced. In the addition, this list of overdrawn credit causes spending on durable goods to increase. Next, future income expectation will increase, encouraging households to spend rather than save. So for the next question, I will explain in the graph. So if you can see AD curve, income national and price level is increasing, but at the AE and AS curve show that decreasing. If you can see, income national and price level is decreased. Next question, if government use test as a physical policy tools, explains how it can solve the economic problem. I think that is a tools for physical policy because they have an impact on income of the average customer, and change in a constitution affect the real GDP. Therefore, the government can affect economic output by changing tax. There are various ways to alter tax. The first is that marginal tax rates can be altered. Second, they can be completely deleted or the tax law can be changed. So for the questions, chapter 6, what will we BNM do if want to raise the interest rate? Government action that reduce the money supplies and hence boost interest rate in order to keep the economy under control, like reduce government spending and raise tax.
My name is Fatina Suhaila binti Sudirman. My number is A21A2471. Here, I want to talk about case study 6. First is inflation situation in February and March 2021. The inflation CPI increased 1.1% in February 2021 to 122.5 in the same month of the preceding year. The factor behind the overall index rise were index of miscellaneous of good and service is 1.6%, food and non-alcohol beverage 1.4%, alcohol beverage and tobacco 0.7%, healthy 0.7%, recreation service and culture 0.1%, and education 0.1%, which contribute 50.7% to overall head. However, transport decreased 2% to 111.6 as compared to 113.9 in corresponding month of the preceding year. This group contribute 14.6% to CPI rate. Similarly, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel declined by 0.8%, followed by clothing and footwear negative 0.4% and restaurant and hotel negative 0.3%. Next is the inflation. CPI increased 1.7% in March 2021 to 122.9 as against in the same month of preceding year. The increase in overall index was driven by index of transport 9.8%, food and non-alcohol beverage 15%, miscellaneous goods and service 1.0%, furnishing, household equipment and routine household maintenance is 0.9%, alcohol beverage and tobacco 0.6%, healthy 0.5%, and recreation service and culture 0.5%, which contribute 64.0% to overall base. The increase was attributed by transport 2.3%, furnishing, household equipment and routine household maintenance is 0.6%, recreation service and culture 0.4%, alcoholic beverage and tobacco 0.1%, restaurant and hotel 0.1%, and LT 0.1%. Through housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel declined by 0.8%, followed by clothing and footwear negative 0.3%. Meanwhile, the CPI in the first quarter of 2021 inclined 0.5% to 122.5 as compared to 121.9 in the same quarter of the preceding year. On quarterly basis, the CPI increased 1.8% as compared to the fourth quarter of 2020. Next is type of fiscal and monetary policy used to overcome the situation. So we using the contractionary fiscal policy to stop the full inflation and cost push inflation. ADAS how the implementation of the debt policy will affect the price level. A contractionary fiscal policy and contractionary monetary policy will reduce AD and spending AD curve shift downward and price level will fall. Next is inflation rate. In February 2019, we calculate the rate which is 120.8 minus to 120.5 divided to 120.5 multiplied by 100%, and the answer is 2.5%. In December 2019, we get the 1.6%, and February 2020 we get 0%, April 2020 we get negative 0.03%, and the last month July we get 0.01%. The last one is economic policy could be used, so we use tight fiscal policy. Government need to decrease their spending. A reduction in government spending will directly affect AD. Government may cut salary civil servant and postpone project that can be delayed. By cutting down on expenses, AD will fall, and this will reduce general income and general price level.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I am Aisyah Zaira. I am going to continue for the case study 7. Right. Question 1. Based on the article, Malaysian economy faced the contraction phase in the business cycle diagram. So here is the diagram. Malaysia economic situation is in the contraction phase. Contraction phase is the second phase of the cycle. It begins after the economy peaks and ends when GDP and other indicators is to decrease. In this stage, the economy does not experience growth, instead it shrinks. When the GDP rate turns negative, the economy enters a recession. Business lay off employees, the unemployment rate rises above normal levels, and prices begin to decline. Generally, a contraction is portrayed on a graph as the part of the curve that is consistently decreasing. Next, state one economic policy that government should implement. Government should implement expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy is a set of instruments used by the government to raise the government expenditure or lower the taxes. An increase in government expenditure will result in an increase in AE. Tax reduction has an indirect impact on AE. Disposable income and consumption will grow if the individual income tax is reduced. A reduced company can boost AE through boosting business investment. Next, we are going to proceed with question number 2. Based on table 2 that we given, the value of autonomous consumption, planned investment, and government expenditure is Rm 1,000 billion each. The value of autonomous consumption, planned investment, government expenditure is 1,000 billion ringgit Malaysia each. First, find the value of taxes. The value of taxes that we get at the end is T equal to 1,000 billion ringgit Malaysia. Next is find the consumption function. The consumption function that we get is C equal to 1,000 plus 0.75 YD. Next is find the saving function. The saving function is S equal to negative 1,000 plus 0.25 YD. Find the equilibrium of national income using ADAS approach. For ADAS approach, the national income is Y equal to 9,000 billion ringgit Malaysia. For the leakage and injection approach, is Y equal to 9,000 billion ringgit Malaysia. Based on the statement above, find the new equilibrium of national income. So the new equilibrium of national income is Y equal to 4,840 billion ringgit. If the full employment is 5,800 billion ringgit, that's Malaysia facing the economic problem. Discuss your answer using a graph and suggest policy that government should implement. New equilibrium if national income Y less than national income at full employment YF means Malaysia facing the deflation. When Y less than YF, there is a deflationary gap. So here is the diagram of deflationary gap. The figure shows that the deflationary gap as AB, where the equilibrium income Y level is lower than full employment income YF level. Expansionary measures can be used to close the deflationary gap AB. The government can pursue an expansionary fiscal strategy by increasing government spending and lowering taxes. The leakage injection strategy may also be used to highlight the deflationary gap. Increased injection and lower withdrawals can reduce the deflationary gap.